Hello, my name's Kevin. I am the Age of Griffle, and I'm with.
Bizarro Czar.
There, that's a lot better. Alright, so, what do you want to talk about today, Bizarro?
The slap heard round the world.
Ah.
And I'm not talking about Putin in Ukraine.
Alright, so what about the slap heard around the world?
So, first off, Will Smith and Chris Rock did not stage that interaction, other than Chris Rock probably planned the joke ahead of time. But Will Smith, there's conspiracy theorists that say that it was a staged event to promote the Oscars. I think that's a ridiculous
Isn't that,
notion.
isn't that just more of a, how do you say, an alternative reading of what we saw?
What do you mean?
Well, it's cynical.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah,
It
it's cynical of the Oscars,
right.
which it's like I don't. I'm very negative about the Oscars because they're wokeists and they're super crazy politically, but
Hence my shirt.
yes, the plague of wokeism. But that doesn't mean just like that doesn't automatically mean that this is some staged event.
No.
And in fact, from their perspective, I think it's rather embarrassing.
Well, why don't you bring up some of the other? Well,
The gay.
no,
Oh, not that part of it.
no. Why don't you bring up some of the idea of what the additional controversy is about?
Oh,
Well, just
the whole Will Smith Jada situation.
right,
Yeah,
because I believe that's the missing context.
right. And
That if you were to look only at the slap, you could say, oh, it's the most, it's the most interesting night in television history, like Chris Rock said.
yeah.
But the way I look at it is Will Smith did, what was Martin Sheen? He got drunk on the set of Apocalypse Now. And, the guy, who's the guy that directed it? Um, he was really big. It made his career. But he made part of his career filming a genuine psychotic moment of
Hmm.
Martin Sheen. And when he punches the mirror, that's real. He
Mm,
really bloodied his hand.
right.
And they just kept, no, just film.
Yeah.
And there was another instance on Survivor where,
Somebody's like breaking down or something.
well, the guy fell in a fire.
Oh God.
He had a problem and he fell in the fire. It was season 2 on Survivor. And the call went out on the radio. Anyone helps this guy, it goes off script, off camera, you're fired. Keep filming. Where what they were doing was mustering medical services of base camp.
Hmm.
And so, since it was a survival show, survive. So he went out in the water, everyone got around him, so it wasn't like he was without help. But instead of getting voted off the island, it was a medical thing.
Yeah.
And the show went on. And so here with Will Smith, you have a genuine outpouring of emotion in a field where it's like people are bereft of genuine emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of actors there and a lot of fake emotion, but
Right.
I think you can see the difference where I mean, Will Smith is a decent actor, but that was not acting.
No.
And Chris Rock is not a decent actor. He's a decent comedian, but he's not a decent actor, and that was definitely not acting.
No.
Like there was,
That was shock.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was
and
like
I could
it
totally
was a,
see myself in his position reacting in a very similar way if somebody just came up and slapped me in the face.
oh, that's me and my mom.
Yeah, it's like it was kind of interesting. You can kind of see him almost go into a fighting stance for a moment
Yeah.
when he first got slapped, and then he makes this comment like
I got slapped the shit.
he was thinking of saying something something to aggravate even more, as a joke or something, but he thinks better of it because
Well-
like, okay, Will Smith is clearly like
That's that,
unhinged at the moment. I don't want to poke that bear at the moment.
well, obviously, from a stoic perspective, Will Smith was acting in pathos,
Hmm.
raw emotion. And so, but the question is, does Jada deserve it?
That's the
Y-
whole
y-
thing is like, and you to understand this whole situation, you have to understand the context, right?
Well,
The context
that's
of
where you're going to say it.
yeah. I mean, they're in this quote unquote open marriage where Jada, I supposedly Will Smith might have also cheated on her. I don't know. I've heard conflicting things about that, but I know for
No.
a fact Jada is very open about the fact that she has cheated on Will. And they don't
Right.
call it cheating because they say it's an open marriage, but it's adultery. I mean,
Well-
it's unfaithfulness.
And whether you have consent or not, there are hurt feelings.
Right.
There's
It's very emasculating to have your wife sleep with another man.
which is bizarre because he normally capitalizes on his masculine attributes
Right.
in very masculine roles. So the question is it genuine? It seemed to be, but now,
I think he's
Aren't-
indoctrinated in this idea.
yes,
It's a very Hollywood idea. But I think the emotional impact of these things, these open marriages, these, polyamory, all these
Yeah.
things, it's extremely emotionally and psychologically hurtful, whether or not ideologically they think it's a good thing.
well, right, and that's kind of where we see how, if you look at, a regular monogamous marriage, there's troubles,
Right.
there's hardship, but you're better able to wear them, because in a family unit, you can rely on one another, ideally speaking. Now, I think you and I've grown up in pathological families where,
There's
So-
definitely some pathology.
right, and so since there's pathologies in our families, we look at it and we go, oh, of course you act that way.
Right.
Because, I know that in my family we had some adultery issues. And, yeah, even as a child, I was like, really? It wasn't because I was indoctrinated within Christianity. It was that I looked at it and I said, I'm sorry, you're not happy, but I'm hungry. My sister needs you. Come on, we've got things to do.
Yeah.
And as long as you're content within the world of your family, and that's the thing, I think people want to shy away from that for the excitement of new and novel, and they don't understand that the keeping of the tradition has benefits that are not apparent short term.
Right.
Long term, they pay off. And I think it's...
Never let facts get in the way of a good theory.
Well, theories, you can test them, and a good theory will work for a while, but...
How about never let facts get in the way of a good ideology?
Well...
I'm being sarcastic.
Right. We should look at how do new ideas get tried? Because I'm not opposed to the novelty of trying new things. I'm just saying that when they don't work out, admit it.
Yeah, I think Will Smith has definitely demonstrated with this that this idea is not working out great.
I don't think anyone will learn anything off this.
Well, yes.
I mean, for example,
you can lead a horse to water.
What?
You can lead a horse to water.
Well, right,
but you can't make it drink.
I mean, look at OJ. I mean, back when I was in college, I was at someone's house, and they're like, we're having dinner, and dinner time conversation as it was, Kevin, what do you think of OJ? And without missing a beat, I'm like, I try not to. Yeah, I think in this regard, things that happen like this, they're object lessons.
Right.
It's like Habakkuk and Gomer. When I think of that story, I don't think Habakkuk wrote Habakkuk. I think it was somebody else.
Interesting.
And it was somebody looking at Habakkuk, drawing, but I could be wrong. But the way I read Habakkuk, it's like somebody saw this going on and they derived the meaning from it. Where it's like, oh, I want God really wants you to meet a hooker, and ruin your life so that you can exemplify
how God is faithful to an unfaithful Israel.
Right. It's like that sounds like simping. And I don't.
But God does eventually divorce Israel.
Yes. But here's the thing.
But it shows how he was very patient.
Oh, no doubt. And what we're seeing here is a misapplication of patience.
Right.
Where it's like, if you're going to do this to yourself, or agree to have it done to you, and be public about it, you can't haul off and hit somebody when they make fun of your wife.
Yeah, not even for the very obvious thing that...
Well, right. Which is why Chris Rock said, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to get with my buddy later. And we don't know what will happen there.
Yeah.
But, it didn't happen. I'm going to sue you, man. I'm going to sue you and take you for all you get. Because Chris Rock, he's got the assault on tape.
Yeah. It's an open and shut case for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to do that to his friend.
I already heard in the news that he doesn't want to press charges, yada, yada, yada.
No, because he's not a wuss.
Right.
He's not a something that starts with a P and ends with ussy. What?
Oh, there's one right over there.
Oh, don't leave.
It's on the camera.
Oh.
Or it was. Yeah, it's orange right there.
The orange ball is something's on the camera. Yes, I agree. I have a P-ussy on my screen.
That's vulgar.
Yes. Somehow I wonder if whose channel it is. Everyone around me knows how I can be. And it's like, well, what did our pastor say a couple of weeks ago about social media? How people
present their best selves.
I'm like, yeah, That sounds too hard. You have to get too many things straight in your head. But see, that's the thing. I mean, I think there's a certain amount of genuineness that we can portray to people. But if we're too genuine, it's like, you might want to put that back in the box.
Yeah, back that up just a few degrees.
Right. And I think that's what YouTube really needs is, people that take their life, such as it is, and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And the great thing is, I see people from Africa doing this. I see Ukrainians doing this on the front line. Even the Azov Brigade has Azov Media Online.
Hunter Biden even does it.
Really?
Well, when they find the videos on his laptop, but that's a whole nother video.
Yeah, but I'm not looking to get. I don't want all that kind of info on the dark.
That was a little too far, too much sharing.
I'd have to go on the dark web for that stuff, and I'm a good boy. I am.
All right. Likely story.
Boy, you're cynical and probably correct.
It's dark humor, okay.
Well, yes, dark humor. But anyway, no, I mean, I ever since OJ, I've looked at these public things and I'm just like, I wish it would be more like the Roof Koreans. You know what they are?
Oh, yeah.
Explain.
During the, I forgot which riot. Yeah, the Rodney King riots. They stood on the roofs of their businesses and protected them with firearms.
Now, I think that exemplifies America.
Yeah.
A bunch of roof Koreans protecting their property.
Nothing more American than roof Koreans.
No.
And I say that 100% genuinely.
And see, that's what I want to see. And, I mean, ideally speaking, I think men should protect their own. But in this case, I'm going to say, minus the relationship issues, I think that would have been okay. If he had just come off and said, "Oh, Jada, you're bald. What's next to G.I. Jane?" I mean, that would have been
it would have been more understandable, minus the, like you said, the weird relationship circumstances.
Right.
But even then, it's like you're going to this event where part of the deal is that you're going to get roasted if you're there. So it's understood that it's done in good humor, and so I think you kind of give up your duty or right to
respond,
especially with physical violence. Like if he had, it would be one thing if he had, as a mature adult, said, maybe taken Chris Rock aside and said, "Hey, I don't want you to joke about my wife's, baldness or whatever because it's a medical condition, yada, yada, yada." That would be one thing. But that's not at all her alopecia has been addressed before by her, and she's like, "I don't care." She's made a thing about how it doesn't bother her.
Good.
But then you could see in the video clip, she was clearly like rolling her eyes and kind of bothered by it. So it's like, it's a bit ungenuine.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's clearly, the guy is a comedian. Chris Rock is a comedian, so it's definitely, I think, a case of misplaced anger. I think it's a case of frustration, and there's a lot of conflicting emotions that Will Smith would be going through because of the mess that his marriage is, and so it's understandable from that perspective. from understanding the mess that is his marriage, I think it would be easy to have some misplaced rage when somebody makes a joke about Jada.
What do you think would have happened if this would have happened in a church setting?
What do you mean?
Let's say pastor makes a illustration too close to home, and somebody gets up, punches the pastor.
And then goes and sits down.
Yes.
I
think
see, this is the thing. It's an awkward situation. I think it would have probably played out pretty similar. Like, what is anyone going to do? Like, once the person is no longer yelling at the pastor, the pastor continues with his sermon.
No, it's
like it would have been dealt with later.
Oh, for sure.
Because anything else that you do beyond that is just going to escalate the situation.
No, I agree. I'm just wondering if we got any pastors out there that'd be willing to take a punch in the nose for the gospel.
I think there are definitely some.
I think there are some.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have churches.
They're definitely not big churches.
Right.
Although, John MacArthur, he's pretty gutsy.
Yeah, I bet that guy's got people sitting on the front row ready.
They wouldn't get that far, yeah.
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 I know from Mark Driscoll they didn't.
Mm.
He had a guy bum rush him in service with a machete once.
To be fair, even at our church, I don't, it depends. If it was... See, that's the thing, is if it was a random person that we didn't know,
oh, we'd be all over.
They would not make it to the front, I don't think.
No, because
but if it was somebody that is a member of the church, which basically in this situation, Will Smith in that context would be a member of the community.
Yeah.
So it's different if it's like a member of the community versus a random person.
Well, I guess that's why you don't single people out when you're giving sermons.
Yeah. Well, comedians do roast people specifically, though.
They do. And I really wish we had similar roasting events in church.
Yeah, it could do some good.
I think it could. I think it would encourage people for purity. But you have to do it in such a way that you gotta be careful to not trounce on feelings. Anyway, deep thoughts from Kevin Handy. All right, are we good?
All right.
You want to land the plane?
This is Bizarro Czar, and I'm with
Kevin Beach Triple. And I'll see you on the next bounce.
Adios.